but it's this being back thing, because again it ties back in the whole thought and all that, and it's like I was thinking about that, and it's like with the mystic arts, it's like I'm back, like it feels good to be back, and I'm explaining these things in such a way because it's taken a while to completely get here. And now getting here and getting reacclimated to what this place is and things that have changed, and then spending 19 months going through the information, downloading the information, unpacking the information, so decoding, deciphering, and then delivering that information in a new form with this language that we develop through these conversations, trying to attach appropriate meaning to the words, not just their cultural connotation, but their actual denotation, because we needed to use the etymology and go back to the roots and the origins of these words so that we could have a common place, a foundation to speak, because it was so alien. There was such a divergence from the things that needed to be said versus the things that were already known. So to bridge that gap and meet where you were and where I was, and to bring through the conversation ourselves to this point, to being here, it's like that coming through to being here is just the emergence now, or re-emergence I should say, of like the mystic arts. And that's why I'm like, it's good to be back, because that's how it feels. It's like I traveled here just like everybody else, but with full memory. So I was thinking, like, I'm like the interview, and I'm like, it's like an interview with thought. Like, that's what's interesting. That's what would interest me. It's like there's a legendary being that, it's like, if anybody would want to talk to anybody, who would it be? And it's like, well, not God, not this, not that. I'd want to talk to thought, because the God of wisdom and the stories that relate to thought and his accomplishments and things that introduced to humanity and all that, I'd be wondering to myself, who is that individual? And knowing that reincarnation and the soul, or a light body, and other dimensions, other realms of existence, all that stuff was commonplace and treated with such reverence and respect during that day, that if that being was present during that time, then that would suggest that he was always present during other times. Because to have knowledge of those things means to have the abilities to use them. So, and that's supposedly, what was introduced, and it was what was introduced. It was the science of consciousness. It was the science of understanding being in relation to existence. And by understanding that, then you build a civilization that is reflective of that. So a civilization that is built on divine law of existence, being, polarity, gender, correspondence, cause and effect, freedom of choice, those core elements, truth, like it's built on that foundation, so that you have all things interrelated and tying back into that organic tree of knowledge and tree of life as one tree, because all knowledge and all life are not two separate things. They are the same thing. So when we eat from that tree, and when we understand that tree is truth, then all we have in the world are just many different branches and these strange manifestations, and how it is developed in human consciousness over the last, we can even say 5,000 years, or let's even say since the last deluge. So it's developed in such a material type way, because the world fell into a more material, densified state, to where we were trying to understand different things. We were trying to understand the material world and its composite parts. How's it put together physically, rather than how is it held together spiritually? So we moved into a different age, in which we're finally coming out of right now. And that's why we see these beings coming back. Because these beings like myself are coming back under a directive, under a plan, under something that has been in the working since the beginning. Because when we say words like the beginning, then that relates to time. And when we're talking about time,
where I think we need to start is telling people who you are and how you came to be here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
how I came to be here. So,
So we've walked this path together for 19 months.
Mm-hmm.
We met at an ayahuasca ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
We recognized in each other, there are 3 of us all together, that there was something that was bigger than all of us. So we kept the connection and started working together. And from that, I have witnessed miraculous. I have witnessed a being that is eternal take form in this physical. And I am in awe. It's hard to put into these words what it's like to talk to you, because your energy is so powerful and all-knowing, and it's vital that other people hear what you have to say. You spent 19 months coming here. We watched you come bit by bit, bring in the information you have access to is so huge that it could not come in an instant. And the road, your experiences before we met, even setting you up for this whole thing, is a whole nother story. But what we need to focus on is the last 19 months and what you are and what you're for, what you're here for.
The why.
The why.
The why.
The why and the who.
Yeah.
Who. You know, I know who you are, but the world needs to know who you are. So, I'd like to introduce you to the world. What would you like them to know?
Well, it's quite the introduction. Well, I mean, it's the things that I've been telling you guys since we met, and let's just look at how this whole thing is unfolded. It's unfolded as not from some authoritarian type source. It was through a friendship. It was through conversation. It was through getting to know each other and caring enough about truth to pursue it in conversation. And that was a testament to your own selves, of your own journey, your own inward journey, your own quest, the choices you made that led up to that moment as were mine. But the focus has always been around truth, because there's nothing else to talk about. So first, it's to get to the foundation of what that is, because, yeah, we want to know things like who I am and where did I come from. But before we can get into that subject matter in any sort of way of understanding it, it's to really take a moment and just sit here and realize that there's a foundation that was established first. Because to come here and say this and say that, I'm from here, that's the reason so many of these beings are having problems here. Because they do not know how to articulate the before. And when you do not know how to articulate the before, then it sounds strange, it sounds psychotic sometimes to people, because you're having these experiences that transcend normal understanding, the limits of physical reality and such, to where that's something that we're learning. I mean, it's where humanity is. We're in a phase to where people are developing their spiritual connections again, their gifts. They're realizing that there's some natural things that they come with. So for me, the thing that you recognized in me that I came here with is this knowledge. And from what I've been telling you since day one is that this knowledge does not belong to me. It's something that is accessible to everyone. And one of the things that I think really opened your minds to how big this whole thing was is that it's my way of looking at knowledge, because what is to be all-knowing but not to be all-understanding? And that's a question I pose, because we have the deities of this world that are all-knowing, supposedly, but that does not imply all-understanding, because all-understanding has to be developed and worked for. And we are beings that come from a source of all-knowingness. So that's how we are here. So it's to remember that, and by remembering it is understanding it. It's to reconcile the seeming divergences that appear here, and the paradoxes that, these things that we can't seem to balance with our minds. But We know that they're unified, but it's the how are they unified, and the why. Like it's all those more existential questions to where, when we get into those existential things, it's we have to start with that foundation, because with that foundation we're able to tie all those things back into a unified understanding. So that's how beings like myself operate, and that's what you probably recognize, is that we talk all inclusively. We don't talk that this is separate than that. It's everything is everything. All is all. There's if it's 99.9%, then it's not all. And truth is all. It's all or nothing. So we I don't know. Let's go somewhere else now.
Through these 19 months,
Mm-hmm.
we have pulled through the information that has been given the name the mystic arts, or that we refer to as the mystic arts. Has always been here as the mystic arts. Start over with that one.
Yeah, the mystic arts is a reflection of the divine laws.
Because let's go back that way. We're getting
the
off
mystic arts.
track into you rather than the mystic arts. So we need to keep it back to the mystic arts.
That's why it's so hard to talk about me, because it's like we need the mystic arts. That's what